for someday? Ready to finally start living your best life right now?
You're in the right place. I'm David.
And I'm Wendy.
And this is the David and Wendy podcast. We're your life coaches here to move you from the excuses to action.
From mastering your mindset to finding real joy, we're keeping it real, raw, and maybe just a little ridiculous.
Let's get into it, Wendy.
Let's go, David.
Welcome back to the David and Wendy podcast. This week, we are discussing self-talk and how do we change it. The first step in changing it is by recognizing when it is happening or the awareness of.
Well, last week we talked about self-talk and what it is saying. So if you need to have a reference about self-talk and what it's saying, we suggest that you go back to last week's episode and listen to it, and that was episode 6. So just to give a little recap before we continue today talking about recognizing it or the awareness of self-talk, in that episode we noted that self-talk happens continuously through our waking hours. And one of the things I want you to do is just to stop. What's your self-talk saying to you right now? What are you hearing in your head? But it's all the result of your programming. And programming is the result of repeating an idea or a thought. And repetition builds that habit, even with your thoughts. And self-talk affects every aspect of our life, our daily routines, experiences, our emotional, physical, financial, spiritual, all of those well-beings. But the good news is you can change it. So before we get started with today's episode, I want to put a disclaimer out there that to all the listeners that this topic is very deep. And you might feel like as you're listening to David and I that you could go down a rabbit hole of something that we might say. And that's okay, because when we were planning this episode, we realized, wow, how do we articulate all of this information? And we ourselves went down many rabbit holes. So it's probably going to take a few episodes to discuss this. You'll probably find that we're going to spend a couple weeks or maybe even more on this subject. So to get started with the process of change, there really needs to be an awareness of that it's even happening. I know one of the things I have shared in previous episodes that awareness in general, with it, for me, around a lot of this, these topics of, self-awareness in general, didn't happen until I was a little bit older. So just recognizing that this stuff happens is the first step. So step 1, to change something, you need to recognize at first that it's even happening. And then step 2 is to practice listening to your thoughts. What are they saying? Some examples of this might be like, if you're sitting in traffic, oh gosh, all the parents out there, when you're interacting with your children, what are the voices saying, or your self-talk around family routines and traditions? A big one is body image, especially for women, but also men. And so I think you're getting the idea that the self-talk's happening continuously through our days. These are just some major areas that we know for sure where you probably are definitely having some self-talk.
Absolutely. Yeah, self-talk is so automatic and most of the time goes so unnoticed that it's like when you tie your shoes. If you're in the middle of a conversation with somebody and you're tying your shoes and you're totally focused on them in the conversation, and yet your shoes get tied. Or when you're riding a bicycle, right? When you first start, you're fully focused on the bicycle, but after repetition and practice, you quit looking at the bicycle and you become almost oblivious to the bicycle, and you're looking at everything around you. So it just becomes, it falls out of awareness. So try this right now. Here's something, and do this genuinely. Don't, no sarcasm, no joking around or anything. Just do it very genuinely and say something nice or positive about yourself, and see how that feels in your body. And what thoughts come up. Do you rebut that? Right? Do you say, no, that's not really true, or whatever? Uh, and if you really want to bring it up a level, or the second level of that is to do it in front of a mirror while you're looking yourself in the eyes. And that really gives you a feeling of what your thoughts, your beliefs about yourself are. Um, and it may answer some questions that you've already been asking yourself, like, why is this stuff going on? Or why am I like this?
Mm.
It's going to become apparent. And I really like this saying. It's attributed to Bruce Lee. Uh, we know how that goes. It's not always the person, but in this case, we're going to give it to Bruce Lee. And he says, don't speak negatively about yourself, even as a joke. Your body doesn't know the difference. Words are energy and they cast spells. That's why it's called spelling.
Mm.
Change the way you speak about yourself, and you can change your life. Now,
Ooh.
that's exactly what I'm trying to bring to bear here.
Y-
So here's an
I,
example.
that is as you were talking about this, I don't know about our listeners, but I actually tried this, and I wasn't looking in a mirror, but I said, you are beautiful. And I really just, I could feel that in my whole body. Like my whole body just relaxed and I felt good about myself. So
Right,
great.
right. And that's
Yeah.
and that's good, because that doesn't always happen. Sometimes people reject it, but
Mm.
sometimes people, you know, accept it, and that's good. Because that's how you want to. That's where you want to be with yourself,
Good.
loving and unconditionally loving. Right.
Yes. Yes. We all
So
do. Yep.
yeah, here's an experiential. That was more of a personal example, but here's an experiential example. Um, think of something that you already know you fear doing. Um, like for some people, it's public speaking, or as simple as dressing differently than usual. Um, Now, just a moment, close your eyes if you can. If you're driving, don't close your eyes, but just imagine as best you can what that would be like. And then notice how your body feels. Are you feeling a little anxious? Are you feeling a little hesitant? Is your breath shortening up? Uh, and then you can see it's all just a thought, but your body doesn't know the difference. Your physiology doesn't know the difference. It all reacts as if it's really happening outside of you, but it's only a thought in your head. Um, so it's, you know, and think about this, right? Whatever your fear is, if it's public speaking, there are people that are doing this all the time, even some that are doing it with joy and look forward to it. Crazy, right? Oops. That's kind of an unsupportive self talk. It's not crazy, it just is.
Y-
So
y- Yeah.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, David, once again, I practiced this while you were talking. And I thought I would try it with dressing how I don't normally dress. And for me, when I leave my house, I would, and I'm just talking about myself, but there's certain clothes I would never wear out. I just wear them for lounging around my house. But I
Right?
thought that, and I instantly felt a little abrasive, like everybody's going to be staring at me. What are people going to say? So
Right.
yeah, this stuff is real. Holy moly.
Yeah. Yeah. Words are like a tsunami in the deep ocean, right? Tsunamis in the ocean only show up a few inches, right?
Mm,
But
yes.
like an iceberg, all of the energy is down below, right? The full impact, the mass of the energy of the wave is below the surface, as our words. We really don't pay attention to the impact of all of the immense energy of our words, because we are distracted by everything else going on, right? And we lose sight of what
Mm,
appears to be an insignificant small thing, right? It's just a word. How is that going to impact me? right? They're just words after all, right?
Right.
But it's what's underneath. It's all that pre-programming, all that uh, stuff going on underneath that we don't understand. And this was an example, right? We're worried about talking in public speaking, if you
Mhm.
are, whatever that is, and your physiology is immediately affected. Um, so it really does have an impact.
It, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I I want to ask our listeners: does anybody have a reaction when I say the word moist? Ooh. I know my oh my gosh, my daughter when I was raising her, several of her friends were like they'd plug their ears and don't use that word. Oh, you know, or some other word that makes you cringe. Some people it's panties. It's like oh,
right. I heard that.
you know. Um, so is it really just a word then? I mean,
Right.
just yeah, the effect
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
having. Yeah, the
Yeah.
programming that you had around it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just how
Yeah,
you interpret the word, whatever the experience was.
yeah,
And then your interpretation thereof. So
exactly.
one final example, or one point that I want to bring up is like there are some words that have a big impact within a culture. Like say in the UK, right? The bloody is considered, at least by most, a curse word, but in the
Mm,
US, it's totally nothing. It brings up a whole different thing, right? Oh, bloody! Oh, somebody's hurt.
right.
Um, and and then there's smaller groups where words can have an effect. And then there are some words that have a different impact for you than they do for the people you know. Maybe like moist, right? You
Right.
either cringe at it or you know somebody that cringes at it. And like I said, they were all just created by an experience, or an interpretation of an experience, which generated a thought that you consistently repeated, which you can change now if you would like to.
Wow. This is making me think about my thoughts in my head. So this
Yeah,
brings,
it's.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Did you
I
want
was
to
just
say
gonna
something?
say that's just something that we all take for granted. It's just a thought. Don't worry
Yes.
about it. It's not
Yeah.
going to have any effect on me. Really?
Yeah.
Imagine squeezing a lemon into your mouth right now.
Right. Right.
Does that anything change?
Mm. Yeah. It's one of the things I want to go back to really quickly is that feeling in your body, feeling that these
Yeah.
things evoke in your body. That's a real telltale of that self-talk, of that programming that you've had, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
It's like,
yeah,
did you go out to the store or go on a trip? Oh, did I leave the stove on, right? Did I leave the iron on? Did I
yeah.
lock the door, right?
Hmm.
It's all
Hmm.
just a thought in that moment anyway, and yet
Hmm.
your physiology goes into panic mode.
It does. Yeah. Wow. See, we told our listeners this is a deep topic, and it sure
It
is.
really
So,
is.
this brings us to the end of this episode, and for next week, the topic is going to be a continuation: self-talk. How do we change it? Part two. I don't know how many parts we're going to have, but it may be many. So, we're going to be looking at strategies or ways to actually change that talking inside your head.
All right. That's the show for this week. We hope you are feeling motivated, like you're ready to take on the world.
If you got value today, do us a huge favor: like and subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us reach more people just like you.
You can find all our info in the show notes and connect with us at our website, thedavidandwendypodcast.com.
We'll see you next week. And remember, always be kind, loving, and compassionate to everyone you meet.